Okay, so I'd like to call the regular board meeting for Tuesday, November 23rd to order. So just to let the public know that this is the election of our officers this evening. So I'm the Secretary Treasurer Brenda Hooker, and I'll be chairing the meeting until the election of our board chair is conducted. So the first thing I want to do is acknowledge that the Board of Education meets on the traditional territories of the Comox First Nation, and we like to thank them for the privilege of living on their land and the gift of working with their children. So the next thing on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Is there any additions or changes to the agenda?
I'd like to make an addition of notice of motion under board business, please.
Okay, so item B under board business is notice of motion. And is there any other change?
Just a question, point of order. Can we have what the content of the notice of motion is? Like, what is it for? Just that, because it has to be passed unanimously. I'm just wondering what the notice of motion is for.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
To bring forward at the next board meeting, as the Board of Education, sorry, muddling up my words here, that we declare the last week of September as Truth and Reconciliation Week.
Okay, thank you for the clarification, Trustee Hotsby. Because it has to be done unanimously, so it's really good to know what it is. Sorry.
And is there any other additions or to the agenda? So could I have a motion to adopt the agenda as amended? Trustee Frawley and Trustee McDonald. So next is the board elections. So the first item is the election of the board chairperson. So we have two trustees that are attending virtually. So we have Trustee Howe and Trustee Christy Masak online, and so we have a process that will allow us to count all the votes for all the trustees that are in attendance. So first I would call for nominations for the position of chairperson for the first time. Oh, sorry, Trustee Wade.
I'd like to nominate Trustee McDonald, please.
Okay. Okay, and I will call for nominations for, other nomination?
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Trustee Frawley, please.
Okay. And any other nominations? I'll call for nominations for a second time. Okay, and I'll call for, I'm sorry, I apologize. Trustee McDonald, sorry. Do you accept the nomination for chair?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And Trustee Frawley, do you accept the nomination for chair?
I do.
Okay. So then I would call for nominations for a third time. Is there any other nominations from our trustees that are attending virtually? Okay. So then, hearing none, I've appointed scrutineers. Candace and Sean will scrutineer the election for us, and we will distribute the ballots for the vote, and then we will count the ballots. So Trustee Howe and Trustee Sack are going to text in their votes, and they will be put on a ballot and then included in the counting when the scrutineers do their counting. So we will now distribute the ballots.
And Trustee Wade had her hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Trustee Wade.
I'm just curious if you're going to allow the candidates to have a moment to speak.
Oh, certainly we could do that. Did we want to do that now? Sure. So Trustee McDonald was the first person nominated, so did you want to speak? I believe it's 2 minutes.
I think that's more than I need. I've enjoyed the past year, and I feel like I've really, there's a bit of a learning curve that you start to understand the scope of the job, and I think that we're well underway on some very significant initiatives in the next year, and I'd like to continue working along those lines. I have enjoyed working this. I feel a approach of openness and inclusion and friendliness to all of our participants, and I would like to continue to serve as the chair. Thank you.
So, Trustee Frello, did you want to speak for 2 minutes regarding the position?
So for me, I guess the most important piece is the students continuing to create a great education that the Comox Valley here has been working towards giving them. I've been fortunately, a part of that for several years through other means, through DPAC and PAC. And the students are so important to me. And we are a learning community, and so for me, even though I haven't been chair before, I'm willing and excited to continue learning and continuing learning with everyone on the board. So, thank you.
Thank you. So, should we go ahead and conduct the vote now? Okay, so we'll distribute the ballots. Thank you for the reminder, Trustee Waite, to allow for comments on the rules. So these are the ballots for the election of chairperson. So please mark your ballot with your selected candidate, and then the scrutineers will collect the ballots. We will also make sure that we have received the ballots from the 2 trustees that are attending virtually, and then the scrutineers will leave the room and count the votes, and then report back to myself with the results of the election. If it happens to be a tie, then we would go to a second ballot.
You need Jeopardy. Do, 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 do. Sorry. Just came to my head.
Yeah.
Are we on an episode of Jeopardy?
Yes, or if somebody didn't abstain, that's possible as well. So,
We'll all have fun.
Because we haven't been here for such a long time. It's like you have to I really like that one over there, the Hope and Love Beyond 94. I do not know. Superintendent DeMayo, we have a question while we're waiting. Over there's a sign that says Hope and Love Beyond the 94. I never really know what that actually meant. I'm wondering while we're waiting if, apparently we got the results, sorry.
We'll forget about that now.
Okay.
I'll get our superintendent to share that with you.
It's
Okay.
gone the way of gratitude.
So our scrutineers have provided the results of the election, and elected as board chair is Trustee Tanya Frowley. So congratulations. So now we will take a quick break to reshuffle, and then Tanya will assume the chair, and then she will conduct the elections, the remaining elections for vice chair and for BC SDA Provincial Council and the alternate and the Bcpc representatives as well. So we'll just take a couple of minute recess while we reshuffle everyone's seats. So congratulations.
Okay.
Trustees back?
We're back. Okay. Hello, welcome back, everyone. My first piece of business as the new chairperson is to thank Trustee McDonald for this past year. We had a very interesting year, and your skill and your experience and your demeanor has taken us through a lot. So I'd really like to thank you for that. And now the next order of business is election of board vice chairperson. And so I'd like to call for nominations for vice chairperson.
Sarah Jane has her hand up.
Okay.
I'd like to nominate Trustee Wade.
Okay. Thank you. Do you accept the nomination, Trustee Waite?
I want to thank Trustee Howe for the nomination. And I believe that we can do our best work for students and our school communities by increasing the knowledge and experience of each trustee on the board. And I've certainly expanded my knowledge over the past year. And I was hoping that a trustee that hasn't been vice chair or board chair before would let their name stand for the position. But at this time, seeing none, I'll let my name stand for the position.
Thank you.
That was a long yes.
Are there any other nominations for vice chair? Yes, Trustee Hawksby.
I'd like to nominate Trustee Caton.
Trustee Caton. Trustee Caton, do you accept the nomination?
Yes, I will accept the nomination.
Okay. Any other nominations for vice chair? Third and final call. Okay. Trustee Waite, would you like to speak to the nomination?
I would. Thank you. So it's been another year of the unexpected, and I'm proud of the work that we've supported, the decisions that we've made, and the dedication in the room and via Zoom for our students. As your vice chair, I will continue to work with and support the work of the board chair, each of you, and collectively our Board of Education. Continue to work with our superintendent, senior leadership, and our partner groups, ensuring students as the focus and the center of our work. I've enjoyed working with the assistant superintendent with our education meeting topics. There is so much to learn about the programs and services in our district and the work that we do for our students. I'm looking forward to the last year of our term together, hopefully as vice chair, to continue the important work of our Board of Education. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Waite. And Trustee Caton.
Thank you, Chair Fraley. Over the years, as being a trustee, I've looked at the work that we, the board, has done, and it's always been student-centered and student-focused. And that's my goal, is to how do we engage and work with our students. And as if I'm successful as vice chair, is working with the assistant superintendent education committee meeting, is empowering our students' voice and then having them there and sharing the work that we have done to allow them to become the leaders as students in the district. And I think my relationship with outside the board on the island and with BCSD, I bring a perspective of what needs to be done for the next year, the hard work that needs to go. We're facing some uncertain times. We're looking at budgets, we're looking at new facilities, we're looking at boundaries. There's many factors that are coming on that, and I believe my 13 years of experience and my willingness to be a team player and work with the board would bring the energy to the table. And like you said, my focus is students. and how we work with our students in moving forward. And no matter what position I've held on the board over the last number of years, I've really enjoyed the position, and I think I bring that knowledge to the table. And I've worked with the chair before through DPAC and as a parent advisory council, and I think that we balance each other quite well. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Caton. All right, so then we are going to have the ballots brought forward. So this is for the person that you want to be the board vice chair. Thank you. Okay, so all the ballots have been counted, and the vice chairperson, congratulations to Trustee Michelle Waite. Would you like to say any words?
Sorry, pardon?
Would you like to say anything?
No, just to thank Trustee Caton for putting her name forward, and I look forward to working with the board for the next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I'm just thinking maybe we could take a quick couple of minutes just to, we're good to
We're good to go.
continue
Yeah,
on?
we're all good.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
I just have a quick point of order question.
Sure.
I know that when Secretary Treasurer started the meeting, she asked for a motion to accept the agenda as amended, but we never actually voted on it. Did I miss that, or was I in my brain? I know we had a first and a seconder, but I don't think we actually voted on the agenda.
I apologize.
No,
See?
no, it's okay. And
That's
I
why
did
I'm
it.
not a trustee.
It was just like I take notes. I thought maybe we should really adopt the agenda.
Yes, no,
Perfect.
that's a very good point. So now we're in a quandary because I was chairing the meeting at that point, so I will ask for all in favor, even though I'm not the chair anymore. So thank you, Trustee Caden, for pointing that out. So, okay.
That's unanimous.
All in favor, okay.
Harry Potter time
Yeah.
traveler.
Thank you. We'll just pretend that didn't happen, except it's being filmed. So.
And my apologies for not bringing it up earlier. Just at a moment.
Great. Thank you so much, Trustee Caton, for helping us out with that. Okay, next up is election of the BCSTA Provincial Council representative and alternate. So I am looking for a nomination for the BCSTA Provincial Council representative. Trustee Waite?
I'd like to nominate Trustee Howe.
Oh, that's so funny. No one can see me up here. I was trying to nominate Trustee Caton for that position.
Okay, I was looking for your hand, but I didn't see it. I'm so sorry.
That's okay, we can do it at the same time.
Okay. So, so Trustee Howe, do you accept Trustee Waite's nomination?
No, I don't.
Okay. And Trustee Caton, do you accept Trustee Howe's nomination?
Yes, thank you, Sarah Jane.
Are there any other nominations for the BCSTA Provincial Council representative position? For a third time, are there any other nominations for the BCSTA Provincial Council representative? Seeing and hearing none, congratulations, Trustee Caton.
Thank
You
you.
are the BCSTA Provincial Council rep. Now we are looking for the BCSTA Provincial Council representative alternate. Trustee Caton.
I nominate Trustee Howe.
And Trustee Howe, do you accept Trustee Caton's nomination for BC, or for the Provincial Council representative alternate?
Yes, I do.
And are there any other nominations for BCSTA Provincial Council representative alternate? And for a third time, are there any other nominations for BCSTA Provincial Council representative alternate? All right, well, congratulations, Trustee Howe. You are the alternate for the Provincial Council. Thank you.
Thanks. Can I just say something? The reason why I didn't accept that nomination is I know that relationship is an important relationship for us, and I am starting some new things this year where I can already see there's going to be some conflict in my calendar. And so I'm really looking forward to getting some one-on-one time with Janice and understanding what that position is all about and sort of learning about how that relationship works. So I appreciate the opportunity.
Great. Thank you, Trustee Howe. Okay. The election of Bcpc trustee representative. Looking for a nomination. Whoa. Trustee Caton.
So I would like to nominate Chair Frowley, and I know you've just done a really good job recently, but the fact that you are a chair now, I'm not too sure. I'll leave it up to you to decide, but you've done a really good job the last year and just went to that really good training session, so I'd like to nominate you for the position.
Thank you. I will let my name stand for the nomination. However, I would welcome other nominations as well.
So I'd like to nominate Trustee McDonald.
Okay, and Trustee McDonald, would you accept the nomination for BCPC? Okay. Are there any other nominations for BCPC trustee representative? And final time, are there any other nominations for BCPC trustee representative. Okay. So we have myself and Trustee McDonald. I would love to continue to do it. However, seeing as this is my first time as board chair, I am going to withdraw my nomination, and I'm quite certain that Trustee McDonald would do a fabulous job as BCPC rep.
Thank you very much. I have been the BCPC rep before, and as we're heading into a year of contract negotiations, I felt that it was a valuable skill and having the time to do it. I think it will be a different experience from previous years when we were facing a very fractured labor relationship and threats of cutbacks. So I look forward to doing it in a much more collegial environment that we have now, and representing and certainly sharing that experience with whoever is the alternate and reporting progress on that. Yeah. Thank you, Chair Frawley.
Welcome. Okay, election of BCPC trustee representative alternate. Trustee Caton.
I'm going to nominate Trustee Hawksby for that position.
Okay. And Trustee Waite.
And I'm going to nominate Chair Frawley for the position.
Okay. Trustee Hawksby, do you accept Trustee Caton's nomination as the alternate for BCPC?
Yes, I will accept.
Okay, and although I would love to go ahead and be the alternate because it has been a great experience this past year and through the training, I do recognize that it is important for all of us to have roles and build our skills, and so I'm okay with removing myself and having Trustee Hawksby as our BCPC trustee representative alternate. Congratulations.
Thank you. So I'm going to make a motion the ballots from the board elections be destroyed.
And Trustee McDonald, second? Okay. Oh. So hard to, I'm just getting used to this, guys. So we have Trustee Caton and Trustee McDonald who have called for, and so all in favor of the ballots being destroyed? Okay. And that's
And
carried.
just to clarify, that also includes the electronic submissions
Okay.
as well.
And electronic.
So-
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Brenda. Oh, I guess I'm muted.
Okay, so the ballots have been destroyed, and I would like to thank our scrutineers for helping us this evening. Thank you so much.
You did a better job than I did.
Perfect. Okay, so board meeting minutes from our previous minutes for Tuesday, October 26th. I'm looking for a motion. Thank you, Trustee Waite. And a second. Trustee May. Thank you. And all in favor? And that's carried. There was no unfinished business at the last meeting. We did have in-camera meetings and reports, and those continue to be in camera. Board Chair's report. I, of course, have not been able to put anything together. I'm just wondering if Trustee McDonald has anything that she was going to report on that was
We had just spoken earlier about being very mindful of the impact on other districts, but I also think the superintendent will refer to that.
Okay.
And the item on the recognition of former trustee was Lieutenant Trustee King.
Okay, great, thank you. So at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Trustee Caton, who will speak to recognition of a former trustee.
Thank you, Chair Frawley. I'd like to take a few minutes for the board of SD 71 to take the time to acknowledge and remember a fierce warrior, a champion of public education, and someone who always was there for me as a trustee, for our students, and for the community, and that was Elizabeth Bunny Shannon. For those of you who don't know Elizabeth, I'll call her Bunny, as we all knew her, was trustee from the Board of Education from 1992 to 2004, 19 years as a trustee serving the community of the Valley. Prior to her becoming a trustee, many of you may not have known, she was an active parent and was one of the founding parents of the District Parent Advisory Council as we know today, ensuring parents had a voice in supporting their students. Through her many years on the Board of Education, Bunny had many different roles. Through BCSDA, she was on the Board of Directors, along with former BC Finance Minister Carol James, who's a colleague of hers and who at the time was the chair of the Victoria School Board. Bunny was also a champion of the underdog. She was instrumental in our district becoming one of the first districts in the province to have a SOGI policy. She believed in every student's rights, becoming to school in a safe, caring environment. Every student had the food on their table to feed. As you know, she was president of Lush, founder of Lush. She was also a champion of social justice. Bunny was the reason that some of us, myself, became a trustee. I was a parent on the PAC, and she said, Janice, you've got the voice, you've got the commitment, and I remember Sheila McDonald following in her footsteps also, is go out there and change the world. She was also chair of the BCST Education Committee, and also in Vancouver Island Vista Executive, teaching us trustees how to be trustees, how to be compassionate, how to be caring, how to speak up for those who needed their help and their voice. She would be missed. She had the smile. You came into the board office at a meeting. She always had a big, huge smile on her face. She loved to sing. She brought us into song many times through tense and troubled times. She's going to be missed. And I think our students and our staff in our district is better because of her work and her 19 years of dedication to this Comox Valley and to the students and staff at SD 71. We are better for her. We have many programs in place because of her policy, her commitment, her compassion. And when I look at some of our policies on social justice and our students on SOGI and mental health and caring, those were initiatives that she really fought hard for, and she brought them to the table through her leadership. So I just want the board to acknowledge her and just to remember her and the loss the community has felt because of her, but also what she left, the legacy she left behind as members of an education community. And I'm going to, in the future, bring a notice of motion that the board acknowledge her in some form. I'm not too sure how that's going to be. I'll speak to the new chair and the superintendent, that as a board, I'd like to have some acknowledgement to acknowledge her 19 years of dedication to the education of the students in our district and our families. And so I was rather emotional, so I'm a little bit tongue-tied because Bunny was my mentor, and Bunny is the reason I'm sitting on the Board of Education. She's the reason I'm here.
thank you, Trustee Caton, that was well said. Trustee McDonald?
If I could just add quickly, I worked quite closely with Bunny. She was she had been the trustee for Area A, which I now represent, and a real advocate for the Tribune Outdoor Ed Center, and stayed on the board as a community member. She's also, worked with her a lot in the Comox Valley social planning, trying to bring the issues of poverty and housing and those things into public policy. And earlier I enjoyed watching our MLA, Ron Ray Leonard, speak in the House in recognition of Bunny Shannon, and all of the work that she'd done. So if you're interested, you'd be able to find that on whatever social media. And it was a very moving speech as well. She made a huge impact, and she's brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you to both of you. The next item under Board Chair's report was Select Standing Committee report for Education section. You can see in your package, pages 9 through 15, that breaks out the K-12 sector in the report. I have to pay a huge thank you to our Secretary Treasurer Hooker, because I was actually supposed to speak, and there was a bit of a glitch there. So when I showed up, it ended up being our Secretary Treasurer who was going to speak, kind of on the fly, and fortunately Trustee Waite was down there as well, so the two of us got to support her as she made the presentation. She did a fabulous job, and I noted that in that report we are mentioned 3 times for our school district, which is amazing because there were a lot of school districts around the province, and so to have our items mentioned was a great feat. So thank you for that. Trustee Waite and then Trustee Caton.
I think Trustee Caton was first.
Oh,
actually,
sorry, thank
but-
you.
I was
Yeah.
just going to read one of the passages here from our district when you talk about rent, and this, because this is near and dear to my heart. Similar, school district number 71, Comox Valley, noted that 50% of families in the district reported needing access to mental health services for their children. Both school districts, Surrey and Coquitlam, stated the community link and opportunity funding insufficient. So I think that the fact that they acknowledged the mental health one, and it to me was a really big bonus, and thank you to our Secretary Treasurer and you, Chair Browley, as Finance Committee Chair, because to have that mental health actually acknowledged in this one here meant they listened. And it'd be nice if we get the money and we'll wait and see, but thank you for that. You're right, 3 districts, but the mental health one I thought was, thank you. That's really important. When you look at what's happening with COVID, you listen to Dr. Bonnie Henry and mental health, and we have our Director of Student Services, Inclusive Students, and mental health is a #1 issue affecting all families today and communities, and we need to address that. So thank you again.
Thank you. And Trustee Waite.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to say that it was my first time to be a part of attending the Select Standing Committee of Finance and Governance live, to watch how they listened and how well they listened, and the really insightful and questions filled with curiosity based on the reports. And I want to thank our district for both the written submission and for attending and doing the oral submission, because it allowed the committee to ask questions. And our Secretary Treasurer hasn't been with us for very long, but she spoke from the heart about the important facts and the impacts about funding on our district and our students. And I just, again, wanted to extend my thanks to her, and how she answered the questions, and as well as how she used her time to provide information to that committee. Thank you.
Thank I'd just like to actually quickly touch on the other two passages that they referred to, taking from our words. The other one was that it was noted that the increased cost of building supplies due to the pandemic has put pressure on annual facility grant resources. And it was also stated that the grant remains a fixed amount and is not dependent on the age of a school and level of maintenance required. And then the other one was under operational funding, where we noted the need for resources to develop and operationalize the strategic plans to meet the Ministry of Education's goals in the framework for enhancing student learning, as many districts do not have robust data collection tools needed for measuring outcomes. So those were the two that they highlighted in our presentation, and I was just happy that we were acknowledged in it. So thank you. Now, we do not have any presentations this evening, and I am going to turn this over to Trustee Waite, being that she is the Education Committee Chair.
Great. Thank you. I just want to start by saying our last meeting on November the 9th was an amazing presentation. Our teachers, Steve Klassen and Dawn Anderson, provided us with a very robust information session on the work that they do. And I want to say that the career opportunities for our students are limitless. The way our students are provided with the opportunity to think about the kinds of things that move them and the kinds of things that they may want to pursue as they grow up. We had an amazing presentation regarding careers. We learned about trades, dual credit, applied design, skill technology, and robotics, and it was a great presentation. So I would like to take this opportunity to move that the Board of Education receive the Education Committee Board Report as presented.
Thank you. And do I have a second? Trustee Howe? And all those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you.
And our next meeting is December the 7th, and our topic is operations and sort of some of the behind the scene things that happen to allow our district to actually do its work. Did I get that right?
That's great. That's
Okay,
great.
all right.
I just want to thank Director Hasselgrave for putting that on December 7th. And just to note that we normally meet the second Tuesday of every month, but being that it's a short month and the second Tuesday we're actually having a board meeting, we push the Education Committee up to the first Tuesday of the month.
Great, thank you. Strategic direction. We will turn it over to our superintendent.
Thank you, Chair Froley. First off, I'd like to introduce our manager of communication. We've spoken about him, and he's here, and I'd like to introduce Craig Sorokin, who joined us last week? Seems like a while ago. Craig, maybe you could just share a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, Craig Sorokin. I'm a happy resident here in the community. Been up here in the past for lots of camping, golfing, skiing, and biking, so you might see me out in the community doing fun things when I'm not hitting you up with issues, notes, and news releases and key messages and whatnot. So I come, my background is, I did journalism school and then worked in media for a bit at Radio Vancouver before I realized there's no money in radio and it's a dying sector to be in at the time. So I moved into communications, worked in Langford in the West Shore area, the West Shore Chamber of Commerce, which is very progressive Chamber of Commerce. We led a lot of green business programs and working with the business community, which was great there. A lot of people in the island community there. After that, I spent 5 years in the Ministry of Education, working there primarily in media and issues management. So I'm pretty 6 months I'd like to forget about. Needless to say, the Ministry of Health's a busy place in a pandemic, and when I found out about the opportunity to come up here and met some of you and interview and had a great feeling about it. Very happy to get the opportunity presented to me. So I try to do my best to get clear, concise information and answer your questions when you have them. So feel free to give me a call. Come on in, say hi. I like to talk and chat. See me out in the community, you're more welcome to stop by and say hi. Have coffee sometime if you want. Happy to meet you. So thanks so much for this opportunity, and it's been a great first 8 days.
Perfect. Thanks, Greg. And we've kept it busy for sure with all that's been going on. As you can appreciate this time of year, there's a lot of things happening, and I'd be remiss if we didn't take a minute just to extend our thoughts and well wishes to our colleagues around the province who have been devastated by the floods and everything that's gone on. We have some of our schools in the province who haven't been in session since this hit, and unfortunately preparing for another one. Hopefully it won't be as bad. So it's been a crisis. It's been a year of one thing after another, and once again, schools are working hard and trying to keep students safe and keep things going. To that end, the province of BC implemented 2 temporary emergency orders, and we were on a call with the Deputy Minister on Sunday around this. And the orders are around essential travel and fuel restrictions. And because of both of those, we've had to make some temporary decisions here in the district that will, as we're doing our part to support the order, we want to keep our students safe, and we want to keep our buildings open for learning, and that's what has driven all the decisions. So a letter will be going out following the board meeting this evening to all families, staff, and community around this. And what we've come up with is effective immediately until the 30th of November. We are postponing any games or sporting events at all levels. So we're not encouraging any traveling, even elementary, and just to try and keep the vehicles off the road for the time being with the fuel crisis that we're in. We're postponing field trips unless field trips can be accessible via public transit or walking. We have asked all parts of the system to postpone in-person events if and wherever possible. We're conducting meetings online wherever possible, rescheduling school activities that require parents to drive or chaperone to try and eliminate congestion. We're encouraging everyone, our community and our families, to carpool and utilize public transit where they can. We're encouraging our students to engage in active travel, walking to school, eliminating the number of vehicles we have. And the flip side, although we are postponing games for this 10-day period, or not quite 10 days till the 30th, we are continuing with in-school practicing and in-school activities, as many students would be arriving via bus and picked up. We are, however, asking our families, wherever possible, try to carpool when we're picking children up in the evening, turning them home. And if we can all do our part, it supports our colleagues in those areas that were devastated, and we can all get through this together as we have shown that we can do throughout the pandemic. So that letter will be going out later this evening to our families. I was looking today at some of the activities that are happening in the schools, and there, a couple of things jumped out at me. I want to share this with you. This is from Cumberland. Bravo to Cumberland Community School Society for their successful AGM. The success shared over the COVID pandemic, the changes they've had to make, virtual meetings with children, virtual craft classes, art sharing with children, and the increased number of outdoor activities that were introduced and led has kept many people feeling connected and active. The increased number of children and families fed while at school and away from school shows how the community has really bought into food security for all. The stories about increased local elder care and vulnerable family care through their food sharing means were inspirational and a fantastic example of what a top-notch community school society can do. And that was from the principal, Erica Black. So congratulations to the Cumberland Community School Society. Truly, when we've heard the saying over and over, it takes a community to raise a child, and here's an excellent example. So way to go. And we're seeing a lot of those. So although we're talking here at one point of some of the devastation that we're seeing throughout our province and some of the unfortunate events over the last couple of years, we have an example like that. The other one I would encourage trustees to do is go to pick a couple of schools, and I just picked a couple of high schools. Look at their daily announcements. I challenge anybody to read their announcements and think that something's going on other than normal operation. The number of activities, the number of things that schools are doing for kids is amazing. And you would think nothing's happened. We're just back where we were. And it's truly phenomenal. And I want to thank all the staff out there who have put in the extra effort and extra time to make it happen. We've just finished a successful fall season of athletics in our elementary schools and in our secondary schools. Unfortunately, the end has been disrupted a bit due to the latest weather situation, but they're dealing with it. So lots going on. This year marks the 18th anniversary of EDS. Everyone deserves a smile. And they've set a goal of 1,270 packages or envelopes of love to be distributed to people in the Comox Valley, Victoria, and East Hastings. So that's the goal that runs out of Puntledge with Madame Chantel. The packaging is the 9th and 10th, and I'm sure there'll be a little note going on. I'm not sure how they're going to do it. In the past, they have invited people, but COVID protocol has changed some of that, so we'll keep trustees informed. And December 10th begins the delivery. I mentioned earlier about Cumberland and helping our schools and how the community, and this is an example of schools reaching out to the community. So it really works both ways. The other thing that's nice, signs that things are returning to somewhat, and I use the term normal, but maybe a more normal state, is events are happening back in our school, whether it be grad events. We had some Remembrance Day assemblies in our schools. A little bit different format, but it's really nice to see things moving back. So that was wonderful. We're also just want to encourage families to make sure that they're sharing with trustees as we're getting into the holiday season and winter break. A number of families are engaging in travel. We just want to remind everybody that we're working hard to keep schools safe and our students safe. So we would ask that people make sure that they're familiar with the rules and regulations around cross-border travel when they come back into the country. And those are changing, so we encourage people to please make sure they're updated on that. Again, the goal of this is to keep our schools open, and we will continue to do whatever we can. We will send out reminders to our families so that they can just jog the memory, make sure they know what the regulations are around that. The other thing is we encourage families also to be familiar with regulations around our community. When they're accompanying their children to activities in our community, we have to abide by the COVID restrictions, and oftentimes it includes vaccinations. Our sports centers, so entrance into those areas requires vaccination. So again, for our students and for families, just be familiar with the regulations that those particular venues have around vaccination, and as we all try to provide opportunities for our students, we do so in a very safe functioning way. So lots going on. We're entering December, and December is a time for concerts. I know schools are busy preparing for for concerts of one form or the other. Some will have virtual concerts, some will have pre-recorded concerts, some will be doing in-person concerts at a variety of times. So we get quite a mix, and we will try to keep the board posted of any of those events and opportunities where the board can see students in action. So on that, thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions? Trustee King?
So for the superintendent, I have a question, and maybe you might not be able to answer it. I know that the Tulameen, Princeton, and Merritt have been the hardest areas hit, and their community's been quite badly impacted. Many students and kids being out of their homes right now. And I'm wondering, is there anything that we, like, connecting with them, is there anything that we can do to support them through what they're going through? I mean, everyone's talking about you hear about Abbotsford lots of the news, but that community and that school district has been really badly hit. And I'm wondering, as a district, if there's anything that we can do maybe to support them or just send them some acknowledgement. And the other question I have is, as we know with the Fort McMurray fires, whenever there's been a disaster, quite often families have to relocate while their homes are being rebuilt, and the flooding in those areas and the homes devastation, it's been horrendous, had a really bad impact on families. I'm wondering how that, with districts with students moving, has there been a sense on whether some students be coming to our district? I know a couple of families they've got family members in their district. I'm wondering if you had anything word on that.
Thank you. Good questions. We haven't seen anyone move into our area. I know that we've had students from that region have moved into Kamloops, have moved into the Okanagan, different areas. Here we haven't seen, and I think part of it is simply just because
The roads.
for many days we've had road closures.
Oops.
We've been cut off from that part of the island. But reaching out to that district will, once they get back up and moving, will be a priority, and we'll reach out and see if there's any way we can support them and help them and the students.
Secretary Treasurer?
Yes, and I did reach out to each of the secretary treasurers of those districts that are affected significantly, and offered our support and if there's any assistance they needed. So at this time they felt like they had everything, but they would let us know that if there was anything that we could assist with. So we have been in contact with our counterparts to offer assistance if necessary.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. And Assistant Superintendent Manning, do you have anything for us?
I know that there's nothing listed on the agenda, but I just wanted to share with you, I had an interesting conversation today with the people from Beauregard who project our numbers. And they were sharing with me that over the last 5 years, we've been averaging about 270 new students migrating to our area per year. And this year, we experienced a migration of 380, so quite a significant jump. And it's something we're going to be talking to them about and looking at for the future. But as Trustee Caton pointed out, a very interesting point, will we see migration from places that are suffering from floods and whether it's fires, floods, who knows? That's something we're going to have to watch. But we are a growing district and have been for the last probably 6-7 years. And the trajectory right now seems to be still up. So, and I know we're talking lots about that and how it affects us with our operations.
So I have another question with Beauregard projections. Does Beauregard only look at traditional housing? So when they're looking at numbers, do they look at, because I know that where I work in the community that I'm employed in, there's many families that don't live in the traditional brick and mortar homes. They're renting trailers on lots. They're living in RV parks. They're living in not the traditional what we normally think of. So when Beauregard looks at projections, do they look at other factors as to why we've got so many students coming, and the fact that affordable housing is a big deterrent for some families in finding that normal house that they would normally live in, they're having all their means of accommodations?
They do look at all those factors, and then they rely on us for what's called local knowledge. And we provide them with knowledge of where housing starts are happening and what the trends are. And sometimes when they give us the numbers, they ask us to look them over, contact them, and get together and talk about those numbers just to help them with the numbers. And if we see trends that are a little bit different what they're giving us, they adjust the numbers.
Okay, thanks.
Trustee McDonald?
So we might be seeing some increases in our distributed learning, our online learning, because of students that are being displaced and may need, I don't know if the districts in those cases have capacity to support them all.
They have, from what I understand, and what we were asked from the ministry's point of view is they may be temporary,
Yeah.
and so we just have to be prepared to support them.
That's good.
That's a good point. That's it for me.
Thank you. Our Secretary Treasurer, it's your turn.
Thank you, Chairperson. So I just wanted to let the board know that district staff continues to work with Mayor and Council and the staff at Cumberland, the Village of Cumberland, regarding the Child Care Center that's been funded by the municipal Ministry of Children and Family Development, and so we're working on developing a memorandum of understanding around the construction of the facility, the design, and the management of it. So we should be having something to present to the board for the next board meeting.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay.
Okay. And so the next item under my report is just to let the board know that we did submit 2 applications to Ministry of Children and Family Development under the new Capital Spaces Fund for Child Care Facilities. We submitted an application for Glacier View and for Arden Elementary. And so those submissions were due last week. We submitted a request for 75 childcare seats at each location, and we should hear some feedback from the ministry towards spring whether or not the applications were successful.
Any questions? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Keep our fingers crossed. Human Resources, I believe that is over to you, Trustee Waite.
All right, so we have one retirement to share with everyone tonight. Suzanne Ray, a teacher at Valley View Elementary, will retire effective December 31st after 29 years of service with the district. And we want to thank Suzanne for their contribution to the students in our district and to our district. And as there's only one tonight, there's no math to do. So a total of 29 years of service going to be leaving our district at the end of the year. And thank you again, Suzanne.
Thank you. Board standing committee reports. The Finance Committee did not have a regular meeting in November. We did have an in-camera committee meeting of the whole, and that remains in camera. Thank you. There was also no audit committee board report in November. And the next is policy committee board report, and I believe that is also you, Trustee Waite.
Thank you very much. So the policy committee met on November the 9th, and we discussed 2 items. We received an update on Policy 24, Equity and Non-Discrimination, and just a reminder that the ability to comment through our website will close on November the 30th, and we'll be accepting our other submissions during that time. And the second item was we had a discussion on the draft childcare policy, and we're looking forward to working on that further at our next meeting, which will be on December the 6th. So I would like to move that the Board of Education receive the Policy Committee Board Report as presented.
Thank you, in a second. Trustee Hawksby, thank you. And all in favor? And that's carried. And Facilities Committee agenda, that would be Trustee Howe.
Yeah, the Facilities Committee was also an in-camera committee of the whole that happened on November 15th. Yeah, we just got a little bit more information about some things going on in the district, and we're going to continue to get more information. So Was there anything you wanted to add, Ian?
Nothing from me, thanks.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Board business, vaccine mandate media release. Would you like to speak to
Sure.
that?
So, media release, that the board made a decision that we will not require mandatory vaccination for staff. And that release was out on the 17th of November. And, that's, at this point in time, that's all there is.
Thank you. Okay, move on. All right. And we have a notice of motion, and I'm going to turn this over to Trustee Hawksby.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to bring a notice of motion to the board for the next meeting. That the Board of Education declares the last week of September to be known as Truth and Reconciliation Week in light of the new Day of Remembrance being recognized for Truth and Reconciliation Day on Orange Shirt Day, which is September 30th.
Great, thank you. All right, board correspondence. We have none, which brings us to our public question period. Do we have any questions from the public at this time? Nothing? Okay. Well, if anyone has any burning questions, I'm sure they'll come through email and we will get to them. Thank you. That brings us to the end of our agenda, and so I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. Trustee Caton, thank you. Second, Trustee Hawksby, thank you. All in favor? And we are done this evening. Thank you, everyone.